Okay, so good evening to everyone. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Diana Weeks Marshall, and I am the current president of the Christchurch Foundation School PTA. And I would like to welcome each and every one of you to this session that we're having this evening on transitioning from secondary to tertiary education. So this session was conceptualized in an effort to basically carry our students from the Christchurch Foundation School into the University of the West Indies Cave Hill Campus so that you all will have an easy transition and so that you can get all of your questions answered. I know that you have many questions, and what we're trying to do here is just to ensure that the transition is a smooth one for you. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask during the sessions by raising your electronic hand, your digital hand, and we will have a few breaks that feel free to ask any questions at that point in time. And you know, I just hope that you enjoyed the session and that you can take away a lot from it. At this time, I would like to introduce the panel that we have. And what I'll do is I'll just briefly say their names, mention their names, and then each one of them can take a minute to then introduce themselves and to let you all know about, a little bit about the department that they are representing. So right in front of me, I have Miss Gloria Harper. And then let me see if I can pin you. Where's the button to pin? Sonia, does this not allow you to pin?
No, but you can have it as speaker view. So at the moment, all of us are on my top panel.
Oh, okay. All righty then. So, and then we also have Miss Sonia Mahon, and then we also have Miss Patricia Atherley. So I'm going to let each one of them just introduce themselves. And I'm actually going to start with Miss Sonia Mahon. So Sonia,
Thanks,
if you'd
Diana.
like to go ahead and introduce yourself and the department that you represent.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and we're delighted to have you here and delighted to be speaking with you. I'm Sonia Mahon, and I'm one of the Deputy Deans of the Faculty of Social Sciences here at the UWI Cave Hill Campus. If you look over this shoulder, you'll see the sign that's on our building. So when you come onto campus, you'll know where the faculty office is. The Faculty of Social Sciences is one of the 7 faculties at the UWI Cave Hill, and we generally have the largest number of students coming in. So no doubt those of you who are coming to Cave Hill, more than half of the audience, if the math works out, will be coming to some program in the Faculty of Social Sciences. So as one of the Deputy Deans, I do carry portfolios, including our graduate studies programs and some of the digital transformation that is ongoing within the faculty. And we sort of act as the liaison between you, the students, and your departments, and so on when you come into the faculty. The Faculty of Social Sciences has 3 departments, so it depends on which program you are coming into. If you're coming into one of the management programs or accounting, you will be in our Cave Hill School of Business and Management. If you're doing a program in economics, you'll be coming into our Department of Economics. And then if you're doing something like political science or sociology, social work, psychology, you'll be in the Department of Government Sociology, Social Work, and Psychology. But we are eager to have you on the campus with us come September, and hope that you will be able to answer any of the questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sonia. And now we turn over to Mrs. Patricia Atherley.
Okay, good evening. Not quite evening. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patricia Pat Athley, and I am the Senior Assistant Registrar and Director of our Student Enrollment and Retention Unit. That is one of the administrative units on the Cave Hill campus, and it's the umbrella unit for a number of functional areas or offices that we like to say support important aspects of the student experience, from recruitment all the way through to when you become alumni of the institution. And you're going to be hearing a little bit more from me later on with respect to one of those functional areas, which is our international office. We are responsible for, we are the student information hub on the campus. So we engage with students on any issues in terms of any questions that they have, if they run into any challenges in terms of their academic progress and they're not quite sure where to go. We are the office that would help to get you in the right direction, give you the answers if we can, or make sure that you're connected to those who can provide that information for you. So I look forward to engaging with you during the course of this presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mrs. Atherley. And then finally, we also have Miss Gloria Harper. So Miss Harper, would you like to just give us a brief introduction on yourself and department that you represent?
Thank you. Good evening, all. Thank you for having me here. My name is Gloria Harper, and I'm from the Office of Student Services and Development. I'm the Community Service Coordinator here on campus, and what that means is that I deal with anything volunteering, but the majority of my portfolio is the Give Back program, which I will speak to you more about later. The Office of Student Services and Development is just what it is, what we said. We want students to focus on the academics, but then there's also another side of student learning and development. So that's the side that we look after, and I'm excited to tell you more about our services a little bit later in the program. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Harper. And as I said, I am Diana Weeks Marshall, and I am the PTA president, yes, but I am also a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, and I lecture in accounting. So I also reside in the faculty that Ms. Mohan is in as well. Granted, I don't do as many things as her, but I'm still within the faculty, and I'm a lecturer. So I'm hoping to give you the perspective of the students and also the lecturer as well. And Ms. Mohan is also a lecturer in our faculty as well. So without further ado, we'll start off by just first of all talking about the transition from secondary to tertiary education and what that would really involve and what is the difference between the two. Because you've now spent the last 7 years at the Christchurch Foundation School in secondary education, and you're now moving on to a higher education, higher learning, and hopefully the University of the West Indies. So what really is that? What does that entail? So tertiary education, as I said, is higher learning, higher education. And that can provide you with a number of benefits, such as after becoming qualified with your undergraduate degree, you would generally engage and enjoy a better quality of life and hopefully a higher income level than those that would not have gone into tertiary education. It can actually impart a number of important skills that will benefit not only you as the individual, but also your community and also your country, and allow for basic transformations to take place, as you are not just, you don't just have basic learning and understanding, you now have a higher understanding and learning. So in terms of tertiary education, I'm hoping that yes, I hope that everyone can see that. What I wanted to share with you here is a diagram that we in education are quite familiar with. And this is what we know as Bloom's taxonomy. Sonia, can you also see this as well? Can everyone see my screen? Okay, great. So Bloom's taxonomy. So if you think back a number of years to when you would have been in primary school, and even in the first few years of secondary school, you would have been called upon to remember a number of facts. And, you know, you would basically be recalling and kind of like regurgitating information that you would have learned, right? As you went up through your secondary education, you would have been called upon to basically understand more. So you have to understand, you have to place meaning to the things that you actually learn. And now you're moving into tertiary education, where you're now going to be called upon to apply the information that you would have learned. You would have need to apply it to different circumstances, situations, or whatever, and also to analyze. So at the undergraduate level, this is really the phase that you will be in, where you will be breaking down information into component parts and also applying the facts, rules, concepts, and ideas that you learn. So it's not just about regurgitating, remembering and regurgitating, you know, the notes that you've learned. You have to, yes, understand the information that you are taking in, but you now have to go a step further in terms of applying it. Therefore, you're going to learn a number of theories and concepts which are going to be new to you in your tertiary education, your undergraduate degree. And you now have to know how to not just learn those theories and learn those concepts, but you're now going to have to apply those concepts to different situations, right? And you're also going to have to learn to analyze. The other three levels will basically come about when you go into more advanced learning, such as your postgraduate degrees. So your master's degree, you will be learning to analyze and to evaluate. And at the creative stage, this is where you will learn to basically create new theories, new thoughts, or whatever. So, and this is generally at the highest level, which is your PhD level, right? To just put it a different way, this is just another depiction of Bloom's. And, you know, here I just wanted to show it to you because it actually does present it differently. So whereas previously you were asked to define, duplicate, list, memorize, and repeat, and to classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, report, select, and to translate, you're now going to have to execute and implement and solve and use and demonstrate and interpret, right? Differentiate and to organize. So sometimes the diagrams are a little different and they can overlap as well. So in terms of, I'm going to close that for the time being. Okay, stop sharing. Right, great. So in terms of what are the other differences that are actually involved in tertiary education, moving from the Christchurch Foundation School to the University of the West Indies? Well, first of all, you're going to be required to be responsible for yourself. The selection of your courses, the program that you're doing, and basically when you do your courses, how you get those completed and the order in which you complete your courses. You have to be responsible for completing your assignments and for staying on top of things like your examination timetable, paying attention to a number of dates, such as cutoff dates, and things for like final dates for changes with your course, if you wish to change from one course to the next, and also overwrite dates and things like that. Another major change that you're going to have to get used to as well is the fact that whereas before you had an academic year of three terms we now have a semester. Right, we now have a semester system where you will have 2 semesters, and each semester basically consists of 12 to 13 weeks. And during that 12 to 13 weeks, you will get all of the instruction that you need to get in order to sit a final exam after those 12 to 13 weeks. So 12 to 13 weeks of instruction, and then you'll get a little study leave, and then you go straight into exams, about 3 weeks or so of examinations, and then you finish, and then you move on to the next semester. There's also the summer semester, which is a condensed semester of 6 weeks. And if you choose to do any of your courses within that 6-week period, you need to understand as well that the same content that will be taught during the 12 to 13-week period will be taught in that 6-week period. So it's greatly condensed. Well, not when I say greatly condensed, it's a much shorter space of time that you have to do this work in. And I just want to let you know as well, the examinations at the end are not going to be truncated in any way. They are going to be just as rigorous as if you had done the exam for after a 12 or 13-week semester. So why do people do courses during the summer? Some people, if they are trying to, you know, complete their degree early, or if they failed a course, then, you know, they would want to then go on and do a semester course, a summer course, as opposed to having to wait another year maybe to do the course over again. In terms of classes, it will be more of a lecture style rather than a classroom setting that you have. So our lecture theatres can hold anywhere between maybe 70 to 200 students. So you have one lecturer and all of these students, and the lecturer will be up there. We generally will use PowerPoints. You know, we have a few whiteboards left. We don't use chalk. And the lecturer will be at the front and they will do the talking. Some lecturers will be more interactive than others, and some will just want you to listen and maybe ask questions at the end. So one thing that you have to get used to is the fact that every lecturer has their own lecturing style, right? So my style may be different to Ms. Mahon's style, may be different to, you know, anybody else's style within our department or even across the various faculties. No one is going to be there to basically tell you to take notes. You know, the lecturer will come in and they will start their class. It is your responsibility to know whether or not you have to take notes or not. The lecturer is not responsible for your note taking in any form or fashion. So generally, if the lecturer will provide materials for you to supplement what the lecturer is teaching or to enhance you know, what is being taught in some way. But in terms of giving you detailed notes, that's not necessarily going to happen, right? There's probably going to be a lot more discussion than what you're currently accustomed to. And there's going to be more reasoning and more application of theories and concepts. So that is going to be a big difference between what you currently are exposed to and what you may be expecting from tertiary education. So that's something that you're going to have to get used to. And the mere fact as well that we are supposed to be going more face-to-face, once again, come September, you have to bear in mind that there might not be a recording for you to go back to. So for the past 2 years, we have gotten into the habit of having online lectures. Everything was recorded and everything was placed on e-learning, and students could go back and they could watch the recordings at their leisure or whatever. when we go back into the classroom, we might not always have the luxury of having sessions recorded. And therefore, it would be your responsibility to take your notes during class. I strongly suggest that you do take notes, even if the classes are recorded, and do not rely on your memory, or don't rely on the class note, the lectures that get put up from Zoom or anything like that, because normally they also have an expiration date as well, right? So always check that as well with your teacher as well. If you do not attend classes, it is not the lecturer's responsibility to ensure that you obtain notes or that you get notes. That is solely your responsibility. So what I would strongly suggest for you as well is to make sure that you have a friend in the class, that if you are not there, they will be there to also assist you with your note taking as well. There's no class registration that would be required. All of that gets left back in secondary school, not in tertiary education. But you are required to attend a certain number of classes in order to pass the course. So therefore, it should not be a case that you do not attend at all and that you just show up for examinations and that you should get a pass, right? If you miss a class, as I said, not the lecturer's responsibility to ensure that you catch up or that you obtain notes or whatever. So that is your responsibility. I find that a lot of students over the past few years, I've been doing this thing now for a number of years, or many, many years, and probably longer than a lot of y'all have been around, because I was pregnant with my daughter when I was teaching. But what I've seen is that there has been a change in the way in which students interact with one another. And I find that many students can come on campus and believe that they don't have to interact with anybody else. And therefore I hear students saying, you know, when it comes down to working in groups, Mom, I don't know anyone in this class or whatever, so can you put me in a group? Or, you know, I don't have any friends, can you just help me out or whatever? So no, you need to make some friends and you need to interact. The way that in which you come into the university should never be the way that you leave the university. So if you come in knowing only 5 people in the university, you should leave the university knowing many people from around the region. And we also have international students coming in. We want you to integrate. We want you to mingle. We want you to also focus on your work as well, right? Okay, so you need to ensure that you make friends in the class. Another point that I wish to make is that there are no teachers at the University of the West Indies or any university. They are lecturers. So you may be introduced to concepts, you may be introduced to theories, even when you're doing things such as like financial management, or even some of the mathematical courses and stuff like that. It's not always that you are going to be taught how to do things. You know, at the tertiary level, you are expected to basically discover for yourself. You have to do your own reading and your own research, and you have to investigate, and you have to basically understand for yourself and basically try to comprehend what is happening. And if you have problems, if you don't understand, if you don't get it, then by all means reach out. But we should at least be able to see that there was some effort of learning, that you tried to do something before you reverted back to the lecturer. And even in that process, what I hear a lot of lecturers saying is that, you know, even before you get back to me, you should be speaking to your peers as well. So your peers being everybody else in the class around you, form study groups so that you all can bounce things off of each other so that you know that there's somebody there, because what I don't understand, you might understand. And we can share and we can learn and we can grow together in that way. So those are things that I want to say in relation to tertiary education initially. I want to stress that you need to ensure that you attend your classes regularly, that you participate actively as well, and that you try to understand and grasp as much as you possibly can from your lecturers, right? You need to ensure that you ask questions, and by asking questions in class especially, that really does help to enhance your understanding and also help to enhance other people's understanding. In my classes, I teach accounting. There are no stupid questions or anything like that. Everybody has to be heard. So I think that most of our lecturers are the same way. If you do not understand, it's best for you to ask at the point that you realize that you don't understand, rather than moving away and, you know, a few days later coming to the realization that you really don't understand, you need to get some assistance, and then having to find a lecturer or find somebody else at that time to assist you. So whilst you're in the classroom, in the lecture hall, and you don't understand, then you can raise your hand. You can then, you know, proceed to ask your questions. I'm going to stress this once again: make your class notes. Do not rely on your memory. Our memories do fail us. And do not rely on the recordings. Sometimes the equipment fails. Sometimes, you know, we are not able, we have technical challenges, whatever so. And then you're going to find yourself wanting. Ensure that you complete at least 2 hours of study or revision for every 1 hour of lectures that you have. So during any one particular week, for any one particular course, you're going to have 2 hours of lectures and 1 hour for tutorials. That needs to be supplemented with additional reading and additional practice by you of at least 2 hours for each hour of lectures. So maybe it is like, for one particular course, you have like 4 hours that you set aside each week to say that I'm going to work on this particular course. I'm going to do these tutorials. I'm going to try to understand, you know, whatever the topic is that the lecturer is going over. So you're going to have a lot more flexibility than you have currently. So if you were doing 5 courses, that means that you have 5 times 3 is 15 hours of scheduled face-to-face classes. The rest of your timetable is open then for you to arrange how you see fit in terms of ensuring that you get to study and to revise, ensuring that you account for your travel time as well. You always need to eat, and you also need to socialize as well. So what I would strongly suggest you do as well is at the beginning of the semester, once you have your scheduled times that you have to be in front of a lecturer, then look at it, put it down in terms of a calendar or whatever you need to do, Excel spreadsheet, whatever. Look and see where your blank spaces are. Look to see how much time you need to travel, and then fill in the rest with study time, so that you will be studying from day 1 right the way throughout the semester, and then you will move into, have an easy transition into examinations when the time comes, and you're not going to be cramming towards the end of the semester. I would like to stress and say that I believe that you should complete all of your tutorial assignments. Tutorial assignments help you to understand the work and also help you to gauge the types of questions that you may be asked in the final examination as well. You have to be responsible. Be responsible for yourself, your learning, and your education. and also learn to balance your academic life, your personal life, and your basically your career goals as well, ensuring that you remain well-rounded and focused on your ultimate goals and your career choices. Okay. At this point, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to pause and ask if there are any questions at all in relation to anything that you have heard me mention. Does anyone have any questions at all? Feel free to open your mic and you can ask a question. Okay, so Devonte, I'm going to ask you a question. Is everything clear so far? Do you understand everything that we said?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. And Serlene, which should be Faith. Do you have any questions? No? Okay, great. All right then. So just moving on quickly, I'm just gonna mention about the academic writing support that we also have on campus. We have a writing clinic and plagiarism. Now, I know that you would have looked at plagiarism in your Caribbean studies, and also, what was it you did for communication studies as well. So I know that everybody here, okay, it's that Dr. Bartlett has his hand raised. Would you like to go ahead with your question?
It is more of a statement than a question.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to you and you went through the taxonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for myself that I went from the bottom right to the top. This is in
Yes.
terms at the university. I want to point to you something that students must recognize, something called agency. Agency is the ability to make decisions that concerns oneself. So students going into university are really acting as agents for themselves. And they have to realize that they have to make certain decisions that you have said. And that these decisions would be, lifelong decisions. They will have to decide whether or not they're going to go to classes and how much time they're going to spend. All of these decisions in terms of being agents of themselves to get them through the university.
I completely,
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with you, Dr. Bartlett. Previously, what would have happened with most of you, and is something that I myself am also coming to terms with as well now, is that you're all young adults now. And when you get into university life, it's going to be gone are the days that mommy and daddy are going to be your voice. You have to be able to find your voice yourself at university. I often, sometimes we have academic counseling, and I've seen a few sessions where somebody has shown up with their parent, and you're very polite and everything, and the parent comes and the parent does the speaking and the talking and everything, and I will answer all of their questions and everything, but then I will also say to them as well, that your child is at university now, and your child is like what, 20 years old or such, and your child needs to be able to represent themselves. And they will look at me and say, yes, I know, and I'm like, you need to teach your child, you need to give your child the tools to do that, right? So I know that, you know, all of you, most of you at Christchurch Foundation School have already found your voices because they can be fairly loud around the school. But what I'm saying is that you need now to be able to represent yourselves. You need to be able to ask the right questions and to get the correct answers to help you. So it's all a process, and you know, it's one where you're going to have to find your way as you go through. But we are here to help you as well. And this sessions like these are all there to help you along that pathway as well. Yes, Dr. Bartlett.
Another thing that I have found, and I only realized it long after I left the university, there are lots of programs and scholarships that if you are not in the mainstream, if you're not out there looking, digging, you know, hunting, that they pass you by. And the other thing is that lots of things, sometimes there are people who know and hang on to for friends, family, special people. So if you're not in the know, you may very well find that some people come up to you and say, oh, I got this scholarship, I got this. Because you have not been looking. You've got, at the university, you've got to get out there, you've got to read those notice boards. You've got to be asking questions. In other words, you've got to hunt. The domesticated student is the one that will get very little, only fed what is given. Those that are wild will end up with wider cross section of, as the word, you know, the wild animals, a wider cross section to eat.
That's why we're having sessions like this one, Dr. Bartlett. So we will also be touching on the scholarships and the bursaries as we progress as well. So I'm not going to spend too much time here as well, because I realize that I'm already over my time limit. But in terms of plagiarism, the university does have a policy against plagiarism. Plagiarism is where you take other scholars' works and you try to pass them off as your own. Plagiarism is also if you're in a class and everyone is sharing notes or sharing an essay and the lecturer comes across it this way, I've read this before, you know, and they then take a look and they see that, wait, I'm being fed the same information by these students. That is plagiarism. Your work at this level is supposed to be original and it should not be anybody else's work. There are foundation courses that do assist you with your writing and also your math as well. And you may be required to do some of these foundation courses depending on the program that you have entered into. I wanted to draw your attention to the writing clinic. I'm hoping that you can, yeah, everybody should be able to see my screen. So when you go to the website, Cave Hill's website, you can type in the writing clinic, and here they will assist you with giving constructive feedback on your essays and giving you individual attention in relation to your writing as well. And all you have to do, this is provided to students and to staff alike. I have used it myself and they have been excellent. You know, all you have to do is come, click here and schedule an appointment and you will see them and they will help you out, right? They're not going to write your essays for you. They're not going to do any of that stuff for you, but they will assist you with format as well. Does anyone have any quick questions or any comments here at this point? If not, I'm going to hand over the next session to Mrs. Mahon, and she's actually going to speak to you about what lecturers are required to do in terms of assisting you to succeed as well. Ms. Mahon.
Hi, thanks, Diana. Just a couple of other points I wanted to add before I went on to that. The jargon is going to be different as well. So you mentioned the word semester. We don't deal with terms at the university. So whereas you've been accustomed for 12 years, term 1, term 2, term 3, Suddenly all of that disappears and we are in semesters. So semester 1 starts in, as you come in, congratulations, you've got your offer, lots of activities happening near the end of August, and teaching begins the first week of September usually. And we run from September right through to December. We're usually, exams finish usually a couple of days before Christmas, and then semester 1 is over. So unlike your friends who may still be, you may have some younger siblings or cousins and so on, or friends who are still in school, you come in September and you run right through to December. And then you are on break from around Christmas right through for the next 3 weeks. So school usually goes back in earlier than you do. You usually go back in about the 3rd week of January, and you're running, as Diana said, for that 12, 13 weeks, you're running from January right through to May, June, and that is semester 2. So your timing is going to be different than what you have been accustomed to so far. Summer usually begins the 1st week of June and runs for that 6 weeks plus 2 weeks of exams. So by the end of July, early August, you are then finished with your summer semester and you're on break again. One other thing I wanted to address, your timetable. Unlike school, which begins what, Diana, 8:30 and ends at 2:30, 2:45, you can be timetabled anywhere from 8 o'clock in the morning through 9 o'clock at night with breaks in between. And it's something that you have to get accustomed to. And any parents in the audience, let me put a plug here, you have to get accustomed to this as well. Their timetable can run, they may need to be on campus if they're face-to-face, and we're planning to go back in face-to-face. You're face-to-face and you have a 10 o'clock class on Monday and a 10 to 11 class, followed by a 2 to 3 class on Monday. And you're done for Monday, and then you come back in on Tuesday because your classes are 5 to 8 on Tuesday night. And yes, when I say night, I mean night. So the timetable looks very different from what it would have looked like when you were packed between 8:30 and 2. And it can look like you have a lot of time. I know for me, when I came in as a university student, I was astounded about how much free time I had. It only looks free on the timetable. If you are carrying a full-time load, you're going to have 3 hours. If you're carrying any load, for us it's usually 3 credit hours. It means 3 hours per course. If you're full-time, it's only 5 courses, it looks like. And that first week or 2 is the honeymoon period, where you feel I have all this time, I can line with my friends, I don't have to get home for 4 o'clock because my classes are later on in the evening. But very quickly you realize that that downtime is not really downtime. That's where you're putting in your own study time. So Dr. Bartlett talked about agency, and Diana would have mentioned this before. It's about becoming independent learners. You are now learning to organize yourself with that time in order to do what you need to do. A lot of the learning is going to be outside the classroom. So while we are speaking of you going to classes and courses, being at university, we want you to have a holistic experience. So you are going to have downtime. You're going to have time to socialize. You're going to have time to do those group assignments, to just mix and mingle, to be involved in the clubs and activities on campus. And that is a necessary part of being at university. It's not just going to classes and going home. You are young adults and you are beginning this part of your life, and we want you to have those experiences as well, but you have to plan it. So that I lecture a first-year course, so I tell my students, when you're building your timetable your socialization. Not socialization, timetable your socializing. So if you have, all students have Friday afternoon free so that you can be engaged with co-curricular activities and so on, you actually have that on your timetable slot for 2 to 4 that you can go to the clubs and the societies and get involved. If you are a morning person and you know that your brain is active in the morning, then you put your study times, your personal study times in the morning period. If you want to be involved in sports and other activities, you can actually plan that on your calendar. So Wednesday afternoon, I can't be involved in group meetings. I can't be involved in anything academic because I am socializing Wednesday afternoons from 2 to 6. That is my downtime. That is my time to meet with friends. We're going to hang out by the library. We're going to go to the guild. We're going to go do something else that is not necessarily at a surface academically related. You have the opportunity to put what you need to put in so that you have that holistic experience. But don't ever forget why you're at the university. And that's first and foremost to get this next level of qualifications. So how do we support you? When you register for a class, many of our lecturers will be using the e-learning site. We have a site called My eLearning. And on that e-learning site is where a lot of the materials and resources for the courses may be. Some lecturers may use it more heavily than others. One thing that you will have, that you must have, that we are obligated to give you is a course outline. A course outline lays out the learning objectives, the learning objectives and the rationale for the course, as well as the modules or learning units that you're going to encounter during the course. It will also give you, and if not in that document, in a supplemental document, the assessments. What are the assessments going to be for that course? So you know the weightings. Some courses are 100% coursework. What does that mean? There's nothing scheduled in the final examination period, that 2 to 3 week period that Diana spoke about. So all of the activities, all the assessments for that course is going to be done in the 12 to 13 weeks of the face-to-face time that you have with the lecturers. Some courses will have different weightings. You may have a course that has a final, and you may have 40% coursework, a 60% final. Some courses are flipped. You may have 80% coursework and a 20% final. How do you know this? It's going to be on your course outline. You are responsible for downloading or making sure you have your course outline. You are responsible for making sure you know when the deadline dates are for any assessment that is going to be. Your lecturer does not have to remind you. We've given you the material. We've given you the course outline, and therefore you're to build your own calendar to ensure that you know when each assessment is due. Please, 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 please. A deadline is just that, a deadline. Doesn't mean everybody has to rush to meet the deadline. You're not getting any awards for being the last person to upload an assignment. So my first year course in semester 1 has 500 students in it. So when Diana talks about our lecture theaters having 100 and 200 seats, a class could be divided into 2. Diana, your first year accounting courses has 300 to 400 students in it per semester. So we're talking about very large class sizes, and we are not going to handhold you through, but we provide the resources to make sure, and Dr. Bartlett, I love that word agency, that you have enough information that you can plan your semester, you can plan when your assignments are going to be. And as I said, if a deadline is July 20th at 12 noon, you can actually hand in that assignment on July 18th or July 16th. You don't have to wait for July 20th. And the rule I give my students is subtract a day. If something is due July 20th, put your internal deadline as July 19th. That means if something goes horribly wrong or something happens, you still have some recovery period in there. Diana would have mentioned academic counseling. Every student is assigned an academic counselor at the university so that you can help plan. At minimum, you're planning your courses, the courses that you want to do, but there's so much more that you're going to be speaking with your academic advisor. As you get deeper into your program, what path should I take? I may have the opportunity to do an internship. Can you make recommendations? You may need to have a reference in order to get a scholarship or to apply for a scholarship and so on. And that's the purpose of the academic advisor, not just to help you choose your courses, even though that's an important function that the academic advisor does, but to help you navigate the UE. The last point I want to make as well, you're going to have required readings. So we call it reading for your degree for a reason. There is going to be material that is not, there's going to be the minimum that you have to do. And then if you really want to get versed in your discipline, that's what you're going after, that you really want to be exposed to. So don't aim for the minimum. So your lecturers are going to give you what the required readings are, and then there are going to be some recommended readings. And there's nothing that stops you from reading far and wide. And the last thing I want to say is the way we structure our programs. You have, if you think of a tier cake, you have a very broad foundation level. So you're going to meet courses outside of your specialization. If you're coming in to do economics, if you're coming in to do sociology, if you're coming in to do accounting, your level 1 is not going to be restricted to just those disciplines. It is deliberately built to give you a wide and deep foundation on which you're going to layer your specialist courses at levels 2 and levels 3, or the higher level courses. So it's important that you trust that we know what we're doing when we build that structure and not try to leapfrog from one to the other. So part of the academic advising and part of you being responsible for yourself is the one resource that you have from the faculty level that your lecturers may also refer to is your handbook. You're going to hear this over and over and over again. That is our contract with you. What courses do I need to do that is going to make up the program that I'm coming in for? And having the handbook allows you to navigate what your courses are. So there are going to be resources that your lecturer does provide that are required, that they're expecting you to do, and that they recommend. And I know as a lecturer, I am much more prone to be responsive to engage students. So if you miss my lecture, you coming to tell me that you want me to go over material that you have not even engaged with, the first time I'm going to tell you to do, go engage with that material. The readings might be there. The summary of what the lecture is going to be there. Do that first. Attempt your tutorial before you come to ask the questions, because that's one of the first questions I'm going to ask you. Have you done this module? Have you read what I've asked you to read? And we can't have an engagement until you have done that minimum. So engage with the materials and the resources that we have made available to you. But really important for you to understand this, we understand the transition of life that you're in, and there's going to be some responsibilities that we want you to have. It's going to be a journey that will have cycles. There are going to be times you wonder, what did I do? And there are going to be times with happy moments. The last point here, I did say the last, this is the last point. We are here to partner with you. So your academic advisors, your counselors, your head of department, and the other units that are represented here, we are here to partner with you. It is inevitable that life will happen sometime throughout your journey with us. What we don't want you to do is try to solve it on your own, especially if it could have an impact on your academic studies. It could be something really great. You got a job. Now, oh my gosh, I got a job. How do I balance school and this job that I have been dreaming about, and I finally got it? That's when you come to an academic advisor as well, or one of the other support units, so that we can help you navigate that. It could be a life event that is traumatic to you. Again, don't try to deal with it on your own. Interact with somebody that your academic advisor or another counselor that you trust, so that we can protect your academic record while life is while you're sorting out what has happened in life. But the lecturers are there to support you through the program. You do have a lot of responsibility in that, though. So you make sure that you take advantage of the resources that are provided for you in every course, as well as the people resources that are along the path. We're cheering you on and partnering with you through that journey. So Diana?
Okay, excellent. So you see, this is why we have Ms. Mahon as well. She is just a fantastic resource in relation to everything, full of energy, full of life, and she's just wonderful. Okay, so following on from what Ms. Mahon has said, what I wanted to speak to you about now was like maintaining good relations with your lecturers and also your academic advisors, as she was just referring to as well. And as she just said, if you have any problems whatsoever, the first line of contact should be your lecturers. If you're going to be away from classes for like the next 2 weeks, just say that, you know, you've had a death in the family, you have to travel or anything like that. Speak to your lecturer beforehand and let them know what's happening with you. And they will then determine how they can assist you over that period of time. But if you just disappear from them and you don't let them know, and then you show back up like 4 weeks later expecting, you know, the past four weeks to be, you know, retaught to you, that's not going to happen. That's how you actually run yourself into trouble as well. I wanted to say as well, make sure that you create a good impression as well. You want to ensure that you have good relationships with your lecturers and ensure to use their titles. So for example, you may hear me call Ms. Mahon Sonia, she will call me Diana. You know, I may refer to Ms. Atherley as Pat and to Ms. Harper as Gloria, but that's because we are colleagues, we are peers, they are all my peers. Your peers are the students below you, the students that you are on campus with. And it is proper and it is right for you to address people by their title. I'm sure that no one at school has called Mr. Bartlett Albert, at least to his face. I know I haven't as well, you know, and you respect the title, you respect the position. So therefore, if there's a professor, so for example, Professor Moore, you address him as Professor Moore, Professor Lord. If there's a doctor, you know, Dr. Greenwich, whoever, Mr. this, Mr. that, Mrs. this, Mrs. that. Always try to avoid first names when you're dealing with your lecturers and try to maintain a professional relationship as possible, right? And be respectful in all of your interactions. And why would you want to do this? Because when you come to the end of your academic journey, you are going to want to have a reference done. You may approach many of us for references. And the first thing that I need to say about references and things like that is that we're not obliged to provide a reference. And so therefore, if you've been in my class for, you know, a semester or two or whatever, so, and you've been the most difficult person in my class and you've been rude and everything, and you come to me and say that you need a reference for whatever job you're going to or whatever, so, and believe that I have to or demand that I provide you with a reference, it doesn't work. That's not in my job description. References are done, you know, out of, you know, the goodness of the lecturer's heart, basically. We want to see you succeed. We're going to help you succeed. We're going to write references. We are going to, you know, some students go on to even overseas universities to study for their master's degrees or whatever, and they need academic reference. And we're here to help facilitate that process. One thing that I will say as well is that do not expect a lecturer to say things that are not necessarily true about yourself as well. So when we're asked to do references, we're asked to provide references in relation to your character, in relation to your manner, in relation to how you handle difficult situations, in relation to how you work together in groups, things like that. And we're always watching so that we can provide and we can speak to, you know, provide these references, and we can also speak to these certain characteristics and traits of our students as well, right? But as I said previously, you need to maintain good relationships. And also what I have had happen to me as well is, you know, after a year or two, you get some students send you an email saying, oh, I was in your class such and such a time or whatever, so I need a reference done or whatever. So I'm like, who are you? You know, so in order for you to get a reference, in order for you to get a reference, you need to have a relationship with your lecturer. So therefore you need to, don't just attend class and disappear. At least talk to them, hi ma'am, how are you? You know, sir, I need assistance with this, or sir, you know, develop some kind of rapport with your lecturer, because I mean, we're all human and we will all be here to assist you and to work with you as well. All right. So at this point, we're going back to Ms. Mahon as well. I hope she's had a sip of water, and we are going to speak about the GPA as well. So Ms. Mahon, I'm sharing a screen that I hope that you can also see, and you can talk about the GPA system, and also if students are being placed on warning or being required to withdraw, and you've already started to touch on the academic counseling, so you can continue.
Okay, just give me a chance to share my screen.
Oh, you're sharing your screen.
I will share in just a moment.
Okay, so should I stop sharing?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll tell you when.
Okay.
Yeah. So just want to make sure that I put up the right screen.
Mhm.
You're not seeing my screen as yet.
No, not as yet.
My mouse deciding to play with me. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, Dana, you have to stop sharing yours first.
Mhm.
So let's try that.
Yes, we're seeing it now.
Okay. So this whole thing about a GPA, so what's this that you'll be hearing about and so on from the time you come into university? It's an average. It is an objective measure of your academic performance over the period of time that we are utilizing for the GPA. Within the UE system, there are going to be 3 different GPAs that you need to keep your eye on. There's one that I want you to really keep your eye on every semester. So there's the cumulative GPA. For every course that you do, it is going to give you a calculation which gives you that objective measure of your performance over all the courses that you have done. And that's your cumulative GPA. The one that you need to pay very, very close attention to is the semester GPA. This is the calculation that is done of your courses that you've registered for, what your grades look like at the end of that course, and what the calculation tells you what your academic standing is going to be based on that semester GPA. And then the last one, I'm going to come back to that one. We're going to spend a little time with number 2, semester GPA. And then the last one is your graduating GPA. We recognize that students who are transitioning from secondary school or community colleges into the university can have a hard landing. That transition can be difficult. So what we do is we zero weight any level 1 course or any course that you're going to meet in the first year that you're coming into us. So any 1,000 course, so your first year course, your level 1 courses are all coded with numbers like 1,000, 4 characters, and then the first digit is going to be a 1. We don't use your level 1 courses when we're calculating your graduating GPA. So we have numerous cases or examples of students who had a rough start. They just did not smoothly transition into the university and graduated with honors. And that's because we don't use the level 1 courses when we're calculating your graduating GPA. It is also why you're going to hear some people say level 1 does not count. Please do not buy into that. We don't use it to calculate your graduating GPA, but your level 1 can count towards, especially if you're full-time, you being able to qualify for a scholarship. And we want you to develop the skills and competencies that are going to come into play when you go into your specialized courses at levels 2 and 3. So everything from organizing your timetable, time management, your written skills, your oral skills, your ability to present your material, your ability to upgrade your writing to what is necessary at the university level. All of those softer skills are what we're looking for you to develop in level 1 while we're not holding your grades against you. So whether you get an A+ or you get a C at level 1, those grades will not count when we are determining the class of degree that you're going to graduate with. But you take advantage of that grace period to develop, as I said, those soft skills that we need you to develop so that you can do as well as you can for levels 2 and 3 or your higher levels in your program. So there's nothing better than doing. So I'm going to ask you to do some math with me in a bit. So here is your performance after your first semester with us. You matriculated part-time, you matriculated, you have a 4-year offer, and you're therefore coming in with, and can do a maximum of 3 courses. Or you were given a full-time offer, but you're also working. And we don't recommend that you work full-time and you have, you work full-time and you take a full-time load. So the maximum load that you might decide to take is 3 courses. You might be sitting in class with somebody who chose an alternate path. They decided to go to work first and they have not been in a formal classroom setting for quite some time. They have matriculated full-time, but they choose because of all the other activities that they're involved in to take or they've not been in that mode of study for quite some time. They take a maximum of 3 courses. So this is why we are doing a 3-course load. And these are the marks that you've attained after your first semester. You have an 80, you have a 65, and you have a 53. So what that will do against the table that Diana had just put up is every mark you have has a grade associated with it. So if you take a look here, the 80 meant that you had an A. The 65, if I look through, meant that you had a B, as is shown in the table, and the 53 meant that you had a C. Now, in order to calculate your GPA, we have to get the points that are associated with the grade, and that's why we call it a grade point average. So anybody can give me the answer here. For the course 1, what is the quality points that you're going to get for course 1, according to the table here? And if you don't answer me, I'm going to ask Ms. Reese Marshall to point somebody out because she knows the audience. And this is not hard math so far.
Michaela. Okay, I'm not sure who Betty is, but she's answered and she said 4.
Right, thanks, Betty.
Chat.
Right, so for course 1, you have quality points of 4.0 based on that A. So we know what we're doing now. What about course B? Sorry, course 2, where you got the B. What's the quality points for a B?
3.0.
Yep, that's 3.0. And what about course C? Course 3, where you got the C. What's the quality points there?
Kamani. Kamani, are you there?
No, not 2.3. Close though. So you got a C because you were at 53.
Oh, sorry, 2.0.
2.0. So now we have the quality points. So what are we going to do next? We are going to multiply out the, let me go to the next slide first. We are going to multiply out the quality points so that we can get some total credit hours. We're going to calculate the total quality points, and we're also going to calculate the total credit hours, and that's how we're going to calculate the GPA. So if we take a look here, the quality points as you gave me for the A was 4, for the B was 3, and for the C is 2. And therefore, we are going to do the total quality points. We're going to multiply the quality points for course 1 by the credit hours, the value of course 1. And that's where we're getting the 4 times 3, which gives us 12 total quality points. For the second course, is 3 times 3, which gives us 9. And for course 3, is 2 times 3, which gives us 6. So when we add those 3 together, our total quality points is going to be 27. Now remember the calculation. Total quality points divided by the total credit hours where you achieve that performance. So if I go back here, the total credit hours is 3 plus 3 plus 3. So you got your performance of 27 points, having taken 9 credit hours. So the average, your grade point average, is simply the quality points, total quality points you achieved that semester divided by the total credit hours you took in order to achieve that performance. So in this case, the math is easy. So you got 27 points and you're dividing by 9 credit hours, and your GPA is therefore 3.0. So this is a semester GPA we're looking at, but you can do the same type of calculation for your entire history. So your cumulative GPA would be all the courses. So let's say you did 15 courses, you would have the total quality points for each of those 15 courses and then divide by the total credit hours. If you're in the Faculty of Social Sciences, most of our courses are 3. If you are on campus, generally most of your courses are going to be 3 credit hours, have a weighting of 3 credit hours. So if you did 15 courses, it's likely for that to be 45 credit hours. So your denominator is going to be 45 and whatever the quality points is at the top. So let's look at a second example. You have the same result, but you did 5 courses. Sorry, I just need to go back a bit. Let me stop the share. I'm just trying to find that particular slide. All right, so let me do this with you instead. And I'm going to share my screen again. So first 3 courses as we did before, but let's add another course, another 2 courses. So let's say you were working full-time, but you decided, oh, it's only 5 courses, only 15 hours a week. Let me do this as course 4, and I'm going to add another course, course 5. Because I can handle this. This is not a problem. So I'm just going to make those a little bigger. Too big, right? Course 4 and course 5. Each carrying 3 credit hours weighting. So 3 hours and 3 hours. And let's move this out of the way, right? Halfway through the semester, you did the midterm for course 4, and you got a total of 25 out of 40. So that was your midterm mark, and you didn't do anything else for the rest of the course. Or you did the midterm and you did the midterm, you got 13 out of 40, and you did the final and you got 12. So your total mark for the course at the end of the course is going to be an F. And we do have different bands of Fs, and this is going to be an F3. And I'll show you that on the table again. And for F3, your band of F3 gives you 0 quality points. 0 times 3 means the total quality points for this course is going to end up as 0. So you're not going to contribute anything to the numerator for course 4. You realize that the load was too heavy and you just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with course 5. I registered for it, but I'll pick up course 5 in semester 2. I'll re-register for it because I see that it's on offer in semester 2. So you don't go to the course and you don't do none of the assessments for the course, including missing the final. We know when we look at your record that you've missed the final because your grade that's going in is going to be an FA, fail absent. You didn't attend, you did not take the final. Because this is a failing grade, your quality points are going to be 0. So the total quality points is also going to be 0 for course 5. So from this, if I do the calculation, I'll bring these back over now so that it's easier to see. If I do the calculation, the total quality points, just like before, remains 27. Can anybody tell me what the total credit hours are? You took 5 courses this time. So what's the total credit hours this time? And I see somebody responded in the chat. Thanks, Ollie D. Yes, their total credit hours is 15. What's the calculation for GPA? It's total quality points, which is 27, divided by your total credit hours, which is 15. And since I've done this math before, that is going to end up to be 1.8. And there's a reason I put that in red. I just want to show you the difference between taking 3 courses, taking the 3 courses and getting 27 quality points divided by 9, which gave you a GPA of 3.0, and taking a load that is unmanageable, that is too heavy, or that you are restricted from taking in your first semester for whatever reason, and you take the load anyway. By adding those 2 courses and getting failing grades, it dropped your GPA. Everything else remains the same. It drops your GPA from a 3.0 to a 1.8 simply because of the course load that was taken here. So if I go back to the slideshow, at the beginning, I talked about GPA being an objective measure of your academic performance. You need to pay attention to your semester GPA in particular, because your semester GPA determines your academic standing. Once your semester GPA is above 2, is 2 or greater, then you're in good academic standing. The danger starts if your semester GPA falls below 2. So in that previous example, your GPA was at 1.8. It means you're now going to be on academic warning. The minimum standard for the university is a C average. The C average is a 2. A GPA is the equivalent of a GPA of 2. It doesn't matter the number of courses that you take. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter the number of courses that you take, whether it's 2 courses, 3 courses, 4 courses, or 5 courses that you're registered for. The calculation or the principle behind the calculation is the same. Total quality points divided by total credit hours. And if that falls, the first semester that falls below 2.0, there is an automatic block on your record. We are going to halt your activity. Something has happened to allow you that cause you to perform below what the minimum standard is. And if you're in the Faculty of Social Sciences, you are not going to be able to register for the subsequent semester until you meet with or you interact with the advising platform. We need to find out what has happened so that we can help you put corrective measures in place. Was it that you carried too heavy a load? Was it that a life event happened and you didn't interact with somebody? Was it that you didn't understand and you just decided, I am not going to a course? Or something happened that you weren't able to carry the load, like an illness, and you didn't let us know? All of these things can impact your academic performance, and you need to come to an academic advisor, your head of department, or one of the supporting units to help us help you to protect your academic record. If you have 2 consecutive semesters where GPA falls below 2.0, you are no longer a student of the university. We have a nice way of saying that you're required to withdraw. What that actually means is you're no longer a student. You don't have any of the privileges or rights of the UWI student. And you cannot register again. You can't get back into any of our programs across any of the 5 landed campuses or the open campus for at minimum 1 full academic year. When you're required to withdraw, when you have an academic performance that is below 2 for 2 consecutive semesters, that means either September through December and then December through May. That means for 8 months, something has been going on that did not allow you to perform at the minimum level we needed you to perform at. And we need to put it, it's sort of like getting a bleed. We need to stop the bleed so that you are not ever in danger of never being able to graduate. The minimum degree GPA for graduation is 2. You cannot graduate unless you have a GPA of 2 or greater. If we let you continue on registering for courses and failing when we have evidence that you're not performing where we need you to perform, you could mathematically get to a state where you've done all the courses in your program, but because of your academic performance, you can never get to the graduating GPA, which means we will have to tell you, you've done the courses, but you can't get your degree because your standard is below the minimum that we expected. We don't anticipate that any of you get there. Why? Because we've put these controls in place. They're not a punishment. They're a pause. So anytime you are an academic warning, you can't move from that point until you meet with one of us so that we can find out what's going on and we can put measures in place to ensure that the deterioration does not continue. So even though that's a heavy thing on which to end this part of it, remember, we are here to partner with you. The academic warning is like the warning light on your car engine. Some of you may be driving now, some of you are in your parents' car. If the engine light goes on, you don't continue driving the car. You take the car into a garage or into a mechanic to find out what's going on so that you don't exacerbate the problems. That's what the academic warning is. It's a warning light. Something is going on that we need to sort out, or that we need to help you sort out, or you need to sort out before you can continue on. So we put a pause on your academic engagement until you can sort it out. You meet with us, we sort that out, and you can continue on to register for the next academic semester. For some students, sometimes depending on what it is that's going on, we might recommend that you take a semester's leave. That just means you don't have to register. You can forget about us for a semester, and then you sort whatever life has thrown at you out and you come back in. But the purpose of the GPA is the minimum standard that the society and our stakeholders expect. So for anybody graduating with a UWI degree, it's a quality degree. The minimum, the class of degree tells you the level that you are graduating with, and we protect the integrity of that certificate when you end up with that certificate and walk across the stage and shake the university registrar's hand and so on. Anybody seeing that qualification knows that you have performed at least at minimum as to what the expectations are for us. So if I'm ending here now, Diana, if for any reason life interrupts or you have the potential to interrupt your journey, if you have an academic warning, it is not parents who are in the room. It is not the end of the world. We have measures put in place to help our young adults to navigate that. And as I said at the onset, we have students who have difficult time transitioning to the university. So that first semester's grades may not look like what you are accustomed to. There's no need to despair. It means that corrective action needs to be taken so that the second semester is better, and then the specialized courses are even better. So the last point here, yes, this is the last, Diana. We are partnering with you. You are not in this journey alone. And that's why we've put the controls in place that if you are performing above 2, we may not need to interact with you. If we notice a difference, a big difference between a previous semester and a current semester, we may call you in. What's going on? What's happening? And that's what part of what the academic advisors do as well. But once you fall below the minimum standard, we are not going to let you continue on without interacting with us for us to help you continue successfully on your journey. So Diana, back over to you. And I don't know if there are any questions that anybody has.
Well, that was excellent information. Thank you, Sonia. Does anyone have any questions at all for Ms. Mahon at this point in time?
And I know it's a lot of material to absorb. Oh my gosh, am I going to fail? No. We are here. That's why we are here. We're not expecting you to do this alone. And that's why it's important for you to know that these resources exist. Dr. Bartlett spoke about this as well. Thank you, Pat. That is a perfect segue. Spoke about this. Many of our students run into trouble because they don't know. And I'm going to give a plug here. Anybody, you will have an email address assigned by the university. Quite often we have students, but I didn't know anything about this. And we will ask, did you check your email address, which is the official channel from the university? Oh, I don't like checking that. Then how can we help you? So the person who gets that email and actions that email versus you who don't even bother to check the email, and then you go in and realize there are scores of email coming from the university, from student admissions, from the principal's office, from the dean's office, from your lecturer, because all the emails go to that My Cave Hill address. You have to be interacting with your Cave Hill address. So somebody who knows the information and actions it might get ahead of you because you didn't even bother. So please, please, please remember, we are here partnering with you. And faculty handbook, email address, 2 resources that you must have access to at all times. Back over to you, Diana.
Okay, thank you. Excellent information, Sonia. And I want to thank you for that. And at this point in time, I know it's time is moving on. We would like to introduce Mrs. Atherley, and I'm sure Sonia would also come back in again at some point to speak as well. So Ms. Atherley will speak. She is from Student Retention and Enrollment Unit, CERU. So over to you, Pat.
Thank you very much, Diane, and it's wonderful that presentation by you and Mrs. Mahon. By now, I think our students can begin to be picturing themselves here where this young man is, as Mrs. Mahon said near to the end of her presentation, walking across that stage at graduation. And if you do all the things that were told to you in the previous presentations, if you follow all that advice, there's no reason why you should not be at the podium like this young man delivering the valedictory address, because that would mean that you would have gotten a GPA of at least 3.60, which qualifies you to be a first-class honors graduate. And it is from among the first-class honors graduates that our valedictorians are chosen. And you can even go further. This young man, he then went on to get a Rhodes Scholarship and went on to do his master's at Oxford University. And again, if you follow the advice, there's no reason why that should not be you. All right, I just also want to remind you that you are entering the Caribbean's #1 university, and the university that has been ranked by the Times World University Rankings as among the top 1.5% in the world. which means that we have all with modern facilities and support services that you need to ensure your success. And Mrs. Mohan would have spoken to you quite well about that before. So I represent, as I said before, the Student Enrollment and Retention Unit at the Cave Hill Campus. And in fact, some of you would have been interacting with us during the recruitment stage, and when you were thinking of becoming a student, you might have visited Foundation, or you might have participated in one of the many webinars that would have been organized to get you in the know in terms of everything that you needed for your application. We might have engaged with some of you during that application process, and now you are ready to come in. You have applied and you have been accepted and you are ready to come in, and we are still engaging with you. Last week, if you have accepted your offer, you would have received an email message from us, again, introducing our department as that support unit that would engage with you when you come in, as a place where you can get answers to your questions. But more importantly, we would have introduced you to the new student website, which is the first step in preparation for orientation and registration. So if you haven't yet visited that site, and this is it, all you need to do is to Google UWI Cave Hill New Student, and it will take you to that website. And it is there that you will learn about the first steps, things that you should be doing all like now to get ready for orientation. It will give you a little bit about what orientation is going to be like and link you to the new student orientation page. It will talk to you about registration, get you to understand things like the academic structure. It will talk to you about how to pay your fees. So this new student website is there for you, and it provides you with links to a number of other important resources as well. Then we have the first year basics page, which will connect you with resources like our student academic skills and success hub, where you can begin to engage with the kinds of strategies and so that will be important for supporting your journey to being an expert learner, which is what we really want you to become. So in this remaining sessions, we talked a lot about the academic side of things just now. And at this point, we're going to be moving on to talk a bit more about the kinds of support services and the kinds of other experiences that you can have as a student. And we were told that one of the experiences in which many of you have a particular interest is the experience that we offer you to study abroad as a part of your degree program. So if my mouse would cooperate. Okay, so I'm talking to you a little bit about our international study abroad or exchange program. And I ask you up front, where will you go for study abroad? So what is this study abroad program? It is a program that allows students in most faculties. The only students that don't go and study abroad that aren't eligible, I should say, to go and study abroad are our medicine students, those doing the MBBS program. But you do have an opportunity later in your program to go to do a medical elective overseas. So even the MBBS students have that opportunity for an international experience. So it is under this program, all our students are eligible to spend either a semester or an academic year at one of our partner institutions, where you will take courses that count towards your degree. And we have dozens of international partners all over the world. In North America, most of our partners are in North America. Canada is a very popular destination for many of our study abroad students. We have a lot of partners in the USA. We have partners in Asia, Japan, for example, China, South Korea, and then we have partners across various countries in Europe as well. So there are a lot of benefits to being an international, to going on exchange. You get to develop your intercultural skills and your language competencies and so on. That's one benefit. You make new international friends. That's another benefit. And then you can create networks, both regionally and internationally, because even though I spoke just now about all the international places where you can go, and the extra regional places where you can go for study abroad, you can actually also go on exchange to one of our sister campuses at Mona or St. Augustine as well. How much does it cost in terms of tuition and fees? Tuition fees are paid to the university here at home as usual, and I'll be talking about fees in a moment. So you don't pay any tuition fees to the partner institution, but students are responsible for things like the airfare, for your own food and other maintenance costs, housing, and health insurance if the university doesn't offer it as part of the exchange. But there are many cases in which we have scholarships available to assist with those maintenance costs, particularly in Canada, because the Canadian government does have some really generous programs that allow for support to our international students through our Canadian partner institutions. And I also want to mention that the Student Revolving Loan Fund in here in Barbados also makes available loans for the purpose of students going on study abroad. Now, how do you qualify? First thing, you wouldn't qualify immediately, so don't think you're going to come in and register in semester 1 and in semester 2 you're off and study abroad. No, you have to complete the equivalent of a full-time year. So your first level, your level 1 year, you have to have your 10 courses would have to have been completed, and you can go and study abroad from level 2. All right. So, and here you are hearing a lot all evening about GPA and why it's important to maintain a good GPA. You were told how you can maintain that GPA of at least a 3. And that GPA of at least a 3 is very important for many things. Mrs. Mahon mentioned its importance for scholarships, but it is also important for qualifying you to go on study abroad because our exchange, because we want to make sure that a student who is going off an exchange is a student that we know is capable of meeting that challenge, and we require that you have a GPA of 3. And then the process is that you obtain the permission from your head of department. You also have to be a good student, meaning that there are no disciplinary actions pending against you by the campus. You don't owe the campus anything. All right, and you should not be entering your final semester. So you can normally go and study abroad in your second year, level 2, or the first semester of your final year, but you can't go for that final semester, at least not usually. So just to show you a few examples of our students who have gone off and study abroad and where they have gone, including Martinique here in the region. All right, so this too could be you when you join us. And we look forward to supporting you on that study abroad adventure. And as I said, you have a full year before you start to think about it, but I shouldn't really say that, because if you want to go and study abroad in your second year, if you come in and you do your first year full time, and you finish that and you are thinking of going and study abroad in your second academic year after that, then you really be looking to apply by the end of January of that first year that you are in. So throughout the first semester, you're going to be hearing a lot more from our office. We organize different study abroad fair that we invite you to, and webinars and so on. So you will hear a lot more from us about going and study abroad and the opportunities that await you there. And by the end of January, if you want to go in semester 1 of the following year, you should have applied. Or if you're going for the full year of that second year, you apply by the end of January. And then if you want to go from semester 2, which starts in January of that following year, then you must apply by September. All right, so those are some of the deadlines. All right, so that is a bit about study abroad.
Excuse me, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
I see that Dr. Bartlett has his hand raised. Would you like to take a question?
Yeah, sure.
Good afternoon. Yes, ma'am. What you said you had to had a minimum GPA of 3.
Mhm.
So it means then that a student with means, I mean financial means, couldn't do a study abroad if you had a GPA of less than 3.
No, because it's not only about being able to afford it financially, but it is,
Okay.
yes, we need and we have that academic requirement as well. It doesn't mean sometimes, and it depends on the faculty. If you're very close to the 3 and, you know, the faculty might consider it. So it doesn't mean that we would tell a student who has a GPA, you know, 2.75, 2.8 or whatever that they shouldn't apply. I think the faculty would, Mrs. Mahan and especially Mrs. Mahan, because she is heavily into advising, might want to weigh in here. But our baseline requirement states that you need a GPA of 3.
But one other thing is that it may seem a bit lopsided or unfair, because you may have students who will never achieve a GPA of 3 because of the diversity in learning abilities and all other abilities. So you may have students whose top ability will be a GPA of, let's say, 2.3, thereabout. So that student would not be able to, or you wouldn't even be offering such a student that opportunity. So is there a case where you can, under special arrangements, offer such a student that opportunity?
I can't say yes to that, because one of the things you have to consider is that when they go on study abroad, on exchange, the courses that they're doing there will count towards their degree. So we want to make sure, you know, give the student the best chance of, you know, of success and being able to, you know, graduate on time and so on. So if you have a student who is, you know, who is struggling, you know, we prefer to have that student remain at home and engage with our support services and so on, to try to, you know, to bring their GPA up than going on study abroad, really.
I understand you, but my point is the student may be, you know how we get students at different grades, and you may have a hard-working student, dedicated student that really deserve that chance because that's a hard-working student, as opposed to somebody who may be generally gifted and will just get that GPA, high GPA naturally, as opposed to one who we know of students who are generally working hard, who would deserve such an opportunity. And it is not just having that GPA, but you're also looking at other skills like dedication, how students, their own approach to work, their work ethic, etc. Sometimes students with high GPAs doesn't mean that they necessarily have good work ethics.
That's true. I mean, all of what you're saying there is true. And interestingly, we've been having this conversation only this week with one of our partner institutions, because we do have these partnerships are established under agreements, and things like the required GPAs are included, you know, within those agreements. So it is our standard here, but it also is, you know, requirements that come from the partner institution as well. In terms of the students that, you know, that they take on exchange. And we were having this conversation only this week with one of our partners who was making the case to make an amendment to that agreement to allow a little bit lower GPA and making some of the same case that you are making there. So as I said, it's the only thing that I could say yes to here in this meeting. I don't know if Mrs. Mahan will want to give her view from the academic side in relation to the case that you are making. Tanya?
Yes, pardon me, I actually did just drop a comment in the chat that, well, Dr. Bartlett, we do understand where you're coming from in terms of students whose maximum ability may not be at what may seem at the outset to be an arbitrary number. The study abroad is at its core an academic exchange program. That student is going to be expected to carry a full-time load and balance not only the load, but also managing and navigating a completely new environment. And if that student is having difficulty or is not able to get above a minimum standard within our own environment where we are confident of the support systems we're offering that student, it is unlikely that student is going to excel academically, at least within that environment. It doesn't mean they're not partnerships where the focus is not, they're not partnerships where the focus is not necessarily on academics, and there may be other exchange opportunities, but this particular one, no matter the soft skills, the socialization and networking, the international exposure that comes along with it, at its core is still an academic exchange program.
I listen to you, but I am unconvinced in the sense that the same university that they're going to will have students with varying abilities to finish the same way. And not all the G.Os finish. The idea about the academic exchange is that you will finish the program, and you'll finish the program on time. And I'm sure that even at those universities, there are people who will finish with 2.0 GPO in the same time as the people who will finish with 4.0 GPOs. But that's another story. I don't set your things.
It's something for discussion, but again, those ones from that institution that you're talking about, they're not going to let them, they're not going to be coming on exchange either, you know, because they have those, their same set academic standards as well, you know, but there are other opportunities, you know, that the students have. When we get down to the, I'm talking about student services, for example, you're going to hear about, you know, things like the first year experience program, and, you know, those are more kind of developmental programs for the students that do include, you know, an opportunity if they excel within that, and not necessarily excel in terms of academics, but in terms of their, you know, their attitude and so on. They could end up going on a trip as well at the end of that program. So there are other opportunities, but as Mrs. Mahan said, the exchange is an academic exchange, and as I said, the standards are set within the agreements. So we do have to abide by those standards, which are ours as well as the partner institutions. But I do understand your feeling, because I have a soft spot for students who try very hard, but not necessarily get that 3 as well. So I understand where you're coming from very, very much. All right.
So I just want to add one thing. You did say before that there's some students who are just below the 3, they might be at a 2.75 and the 2 or so on. And this is why it's important, as Diana said earlier, to maintain good relations with and have a good impression on your lecturers and so on. We might examine a record and the cumulative says this student at this stage is at a 2.9 or 2.85, but we see that they may have had a semester that was not up to what they were accustomed getting, and we may interact with the lecturers. Did you observe anything happening this semester with this student? Or they've been performing there, but their attitude and their enthusiasm, and we are seeing a trajectory that started low, but they're on a trajectory that's up, and this exposure really is something that they could benefit for. So even though we have that 3.0 as a standard, I mean, we wouldn't send a student who's at 2.0, so don't let me get hopes in the wrong expectations in the wrong direction, but it's really about looking at the full student. And that's why there's Mrs. Atherley and her office actually interacts with the student. They come back to the faculty, to their department, to the academic advisors who have to do the sign off in order for them to be on this exchange. And as she said as well, a 3.0 with a bad attitude or without that work ethic and so on, that they are going to be able to demonstrate and represent, because they're representing the UWI when they go, it's still not going to get that sign off. So the academic standard is not the only thing that we do look at. Great.
You see, and at this point, you know, if students are thinking that this is something that they might want to do, we would encourage you to, you know, to go on our website. You can go to the CERU website, and you'll see the link there to study abroad or the international office, and then you can go there and you will see a list of all the partner institutions, and then you have web links to each of those institutions. So you can start to think about, oh, where would I want to go? Do I want to go to North America, or do I want to do something a little different and, you know, maybe go somewhere in Europe? It might depend on if you're doing a particular language and, you know, that you want to have a language immersion. You know, it would depend on a number of things, but now is a good time at the beginning to start to think about it. So do you know, one, that you have to be serious about your academics and keeping your GPA up, and also getting your finances in order, or identifying where there may be scholarships available, and deciding on where you would want to go so that you are ready to get that application in at the appropriate time. All right, so that is study abroad. And the other thing that I want to talk to you about in the time that we have has to do with fees and funding. And again, everything that you really need to know about your time at the university is available online. We make that very, very clear. So we do have a student financing website. And on that website, you're going to see this document on the graduate financial information for regional and international, for regional students, including Barbados. And everything that you need to know about the fees is in there. Now, there are two categories of annual fees that students pay at the UWI. They're the university registration fees, which is a minor that some people might say not so minor, but a minor miscellaneous set of fees. And then the academic program fees, which are essentially the cost of the degree. Now, as Barbadian students, because I'm taking it that, all of you here are Barbadians. If not, if there's someone that isn't a Barbadian, that we can talk about that. But as a Barbadian student, you do not pay your program fees. But I really think it's important that you still get a sense of the value of your degree and the money that government pays for you for that degree. So that is why I'm highlighting this here. We are a campus country. The university is divided. You have contributing countries that have campuses like Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad, and Antigua. And then you have contributing countries that don't have campuses, and the fees differ. So if you are in the faculty of culture, creative and performing arts, humanities and education, science and technology, social sciences, or sport, at the end of your 3-year program, the Barbados government would have spent $108,000 on your degree. If you're in the faculty of law, they would have spent $162,000. And if you're doing the MBBS degree, they would have spent almost $400,000. So bear that in mind as you determine the seriousness with which you are going to approach your studies. Because you aren't paying tuition fees, don't mean that somebody isn't paying it on your behalf. So the way the university's finances are structured, if you are applying overseas, you might get one big tuition fee quoted. They might tell you you're paying $36,000 a year. But the way our institution, the financing is done, because we are a regional university funded by different governments and so on, that fee is separated into what we call a tuition fee, which is about 20% of the cost, and the economic cost, the other 80%. All right, and the Barbados government pays both for Barbadian students, both the tuition fee and economic costs. A number of your partners that will be coming into the campus from the other countries, some of them will be paying both of these themselves. Some of them, the government might be paying the economic cost, but they have to pay the tuition fee. All right. Now you'll see a few courses here where the funding is a little different. You're not seeing any economic costs. Those are, the university does have a few what we call self-financed programs in which the student is expected to pay the fees, and they are priced significantly lower for that reason than the what we call the government sponsored programs. So for example, in this Faculty of Science and Technology, there's a program, BSc in Software Engineering, 14,000 Barbados per year, because all of these are Barbados dollars. In the Faculty of Medical Sciences, there's a Bachelor of Health Sciences, which is costed per credit. And you'll be doing about 90 credits over the 3 years, and each of those credits cost $410. And also in that faculty, the Bachelor's in Human Nutrition and Dietetics, $600 per credit, and there are 108 credits in that program. All right, and then the medical degree, $65,000 per year for the first 3 years, preclinical years, and then the clinical years, the final 2 clinical years, those are funded and the usual tuition fee plus economic costs. Now, the three that I have red stars by, even though those are self-financed programs, the Barbados government has announced that it would pay for the Barbadian students doing those programs. We have recently introduced the BSc in Human Nutrition and Dietetics. Again, $600 per credit, 108 credits in that program. So you can do the math. We haven't got any assurance from government that it will pay for this program. So if any of you has applied for this BSc in Human Nutrition and Dietetics, then the expectation is that you are funded until we hear, or unless we hear otherwise, that you are funding this program. All right, so these are the undergraduate program fees. As I said, the Barbados government does pay these fees for most students, but I thought it important that you get an understanding as to the value of that. And then the other fees are the university registration fees. Now, these are the fees that you will have to pay, because these fees are payable by all students, including students who are sponsored by government or who hold scholarships. All right, they're paid at the start of each semester, half at the start of first semester and half at the start of second semester, or you can pay them in full at the start of the academic year. So August coming up, the academic year is starting, that's when you're paying fees. You can pay the full thing. And they must be paid before the start of the registration process. So we ask that you pay these university registration fees. You can pay these all like now. You don't have to wait until registration part starts. Once you have accepted your offer, you've been given your ID number and so on, and you've set up your CHOL, and you will find how to do all those things on that new student website. Then you can actually start paying your fees. And these university registration fees are non-refundable. So I said earlier that there are minor miscellaneous fees. They're made up of a number of fees: amenities fee, which is $960 per year, or you can pay $480 this August, September, and another $480 in January, or you can pay the full thing. And then you have the GIL fee. Now, this amenities fee, this covers things like the health plan. All our students are covered by a health insurance plan. It covers the shuttle service that takes students into Bridgetown and to the homes within a 5-mile radius of the campus, the student gym. All those kinds of things are what this fee allows us to provide. And then you have the GIL fee, which is $60 per semester or $120 per year. And this is paid to the Guild to fund that year-long activities that the Guild organizes on behalf of students, including the wonderful Freshers Week that you're going to have with island tours and those kinds of things that the Guild will be having come orientation week, Freshers Week following orientation. And then for science and technology students only, and those in the Department of Biological and Chemical Sciences, and the Department of Computer Science, Math, and Physics, there is a science and technology fee of $300 per year or $150 per semester. And this covers all the consumables that are used in labs, special software, those kinds of things that are used in the Faculty of Science and Technology. And this is a common fee in universities for science faculties. All right, so these are the university registration fees that are payable. And just to give a summary, regular students, it will be $540 at the start of each semester or $1,080 for the whole year. If you're in science and technology, you'll be paying $690 at the start of each semester or $1,380 for the entire year. And then the only other thing in addition to these fees, then you pay a one-time fee of $30 for an ID card. So those are the fees, and these are the fees paid by the student. So when to pay, as I said, you can pay anytime prior to the start of the semester. You can pay in increments, which means that you can pay a certain amount now and next week pay another amount, or you can pay the full amount. But you must have paid the fees at registration week. Registration is the week of the 29th of August to the 2nd of September. And you must pay the fees within that period, no later than the end of the registration period on the 2nd of September. And then after that, a late fee of $50 will be applied to your fees. So do make sure that you pay your fees and avoid having to pay the late fee. So I've already told you what to pay, where to pay. You can pay online. This is probably the easiest way. The CHOL, which is the Student Administration System. As I said, this is where you need to get familiar with CHOL, because this is where you're going to do all your administrative work, where you will find your record, your financial record, your student records, everything you do via CHOL, and you can pay your fees there as well. But you can pay via the banks as well. If you're paying via the banks or via SurePay, you would need to make sure that you give them your ID number and allow a day or two before you will see the amount showing on your financial record. Or you can come to the campus and pay either by cash, credit cards, or debit cards. So you have a variety of ways in which you can pay those miscellaneous fees. And as I said, visit our financial website and you will find all this information and all other information as well. Now, even though as Barbadian students, you only need to be paying those university fees, you also have, your maintenance, you have to buy books and all of that. As Dr. Bartlett mentioned earlier, there are quite a few scholarships available on the campus, grants and bursaries, and you would be surprised at the number of these scholarships that remain unallocated because of students not applying for these scholarships. These scholarships are funded by private sector agencies and other institutions, by individuals. Some of them are based on merit, which means your GPA. Again, many scholarships you need a GPA of 3, for example, but not all. And some are based on need, as well. So, I want you to visit the student financing website. You will find a link on the new student website, and then you see right here, scholarships. This is where you will find all the information on the scholarships. You will see a whole list of each scholarship. You can click on the link and see what the scholarship is about, who is eligible to apply for it, how much money it offers. And some of those scholarships offer anywhere up to $10,000 a year. I think there's some that even offer a bit more than that. All right, so they're not insignificant amounts. They will be very useful in paying your books and helping to buy your lunch and that kind of thing. So then you have bursaries, which the university offers. Again, academic, the bursaries might be academic and you need a GPA of 3. If you've achieved that in the academic year, then you can apply for an academic bursary, or there are core curricular bursaries as well for those who are active in student life, right? Who are active in leading organizations and so on. You can apply for a core curricular bursary. And then the foundation is special because you actually have your own scholarship, you foster scholarship for foundation school graduates as well. And each year we have to put that scholarship back up because persons who meet the criteria haven't applied. It does have some special criteria. Persons must be living in St. Michael, for example. You should be involved in extracurricular activities like track or another sport or community work and so on. And then, you have other scholarships like the Rollins families. They give 10 scholarships a year and have special category, for example, males from low-income household, females from low-income household. So, there are scholarships not only for academics, but for students in need as well. And then outside of the scholarships and the bursaries, there's also a special scholarship and a grant available for student athletes. So if you are a really good athlete, and you can, more likely make it onto one of the campus sports teams, there's a special scholarship that athletes can apply for as well. And then outside of the scholarships and the bursaries and the grants, we do have a student hardship fund, which is administered by our Office of Student Services and Development. So students who are really finding themselves, challenged and can have proof of this, because you do have to submit, proof in terms of your need, then you can get some hardship support to assist there as well. Now, for all these scholarships and for bursaries, the application deadline is May 31st. We would have been advertising these on our CERU social media, as well as our campus social media, Instagram and Facebook. We have been promoting scholarships all through over the months. But if you haven't applied, then you will be applying next May. So make sure you get your GPA up and you can apply for those scholarships come May 31st. Next week, the scholarship committee is meeting to decide on scholarship awards. And at that point, if the applicants haven't come in for this scholarship, it will be given an extended deadline. So do follow us on CERU Cave Hill. That's our Instagram handle, as well as Facebook. And we promote all these scholarships on our social media as well. And we usually tag the school, so we will tag the foundation Instagram as well. All right, so that is about it for fees, and I'm going to stop here so that we will give you an opportunity to hear from our Office of Student Services and Development about another area that I know you're very interested in, which is the Give Back program, because I talked to you about government funding your fees, your program fees, and the only thing they ask is that you give back some hours of volunteer work. So I'm going to introduce Ms. Gloria Harper of our Office of Student Services and Development, who will talk to you about the Give Back program and other elements of services offered by that very dynamic department. So Mrs. Harper.
Good evening, and thank you so much, Mrs. Avili. Please allow me to share my screen. Just 1 minute. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Right, so this evening, I'm going to concentrate on the Give Back program. But before I get into the Give Back program, I wanted to speak to you a little bit about the Office of Student Services and what we have to offer. I know in the interest of time, I will try to go through this section pretty quickly because I see that we are getting late into the evening. I know you have indicated some of the areas of interest will have been the health insurance and dealing with your mental health. However, unfortunately, my colleagues could not join us this evening, but I will do my best to point you in the right direction. And I can assure you that whenever you come to campus, whenever you come onto campus, when you participate in orientation and everything, then you'll get more information on this. So I just want to look here at a number of services that our office offers. And you will see that I have what is called the orientation experience, and I have that in the center. And then we have health and wellness right through to career development. So I will be going through each of them quickly. Excuse me 1 minute, please. Right, as I said, I'll be going through the orientation one first, and I put the orientation at the center because this is the first service that we offer when you come on, but one of the first services we offer when you come onto campus as a student. And this is a very important service. This service then will lead you into all the other services that not only student services have to offer, but all the various faculties and everything. So on the orientation, you will get to an introduction into your campus life. And you also get to know exactly what is required of you as a student. You will be made aware of the various activities and everything, clubs and societies, whatever you can do to participate in your UWI life. So we have exciting things like we have, as Ms. Avili said afterwards, we have Freshers Week coming right after orientation, but we also have market tours, we have island tours, we have campus tours and things of that nature. And orientation also, we have what is very important. We have your orientation schedule. This can be found on our Office of Student Services website. But as Ms. Avili said, you could go to the new student website and it will take you to a link directly leading on to this, this page here. And this page here will tell you, will give you a live update on what is required for orientation. And again, I suggest that you guys see if you can go to as many of these activities or sessions as possible, because again, this tells you what exactly is required. I find that students in the past, when you look at students who really benefit, students benefit from these sessions because who succeed, students who really succeed are students that normally go and participate in the various orientation sessions because then they will know what is required of them. And we, as I said, we have orientation sessions, and then each faculty as well, they will have orientation sessions as well. And some faculties, you'll be able to speak to your academic advisors right away so that you would know how you will be able to start your UWI life. So again, the resources to get this information would be our website, which is cavehill.uwi.edu/student services. And on this same page, under that also, you will be able to see what we call Blackbird Buzz, which is a newsletter, which gives you all the information also that you would need on orientation. And again, I invite you to, well, I encourage you to make sure you visit these pages. So from that, I will go into the health and wellness services that we offer. And under this, you will find our psychological counseling services. And we have in-office psychological counselor who is Dr. Ben. So you can, and let me say this, all of our services, or you can book a one-on-one session or group sessions in some areas for all of our services. So once you go onto our website on the landing page, the services that you can see on the screen, you can book, you could click and make a booking. If you want to have a one-on-one session, if there's something that you're not certain about, you can book a one-on-one session with us. And as I said, Dr. Ben is our psychological counselor. We also have 1 or 2 counselors that we invite in to have sessions with you also. You can be assured that everything that is said is strictly confidential. So you can feel free to go ahead and book your sessions. Also under our health and wellness services, we have the student health clinic. And the student health clinic here, again, once you are a student of the UWI Cave Hill Campus, you are more than free to utilize these services. And the student health clinic, they normally open from Monday to Friday from 7 o'clock, from 8:30 in the morning to 7 o'clock on an evening. So then, given the various COVID protocols, then we may have to adjust our times. But for now, our times are from 8:30 on a morning to 7 p.m. Monday to Fridays. And everything I'm telling you here now, again, we will have various information sessions when you do come onto campus, when you do participate in the orientation, you will have all of that information at your disposal, and it would be in more detail. So if you don't gather something here, don't panic. Again, you will have it when you come onto campus. And then we also have under health and wellness, we have our health insurance. And this is, again, registered students on the Cave Hill campus. Once your fees have been paid and everything, you would be able to utilize this insurance scheme, which is offered by Sagicor Life Insurance. However, there's a note that you must, the insurance does not cover vision, dental, or maternity. But again, you will hear more about that when you go on to your information sessions. And all of the information I am telling you here also can also be found on our Cave Hill, our OSSD website, again, which is cavehill.uwi.edu/student services. So we're moving on quickly to resident life services. And under our resident life services, we have a number of them, which is you will find our shuttle services here. Once again, once you're a registered student, to get on the shuttle, you have to show your UWI. Normally the UWI would have that a little sticker indicating that you would have paid your fees. So once your fees have been paid, we have shuttle services that run from the university to town, and then we have some that go through the NCF area. And then we also have a number of them that go through the Warrens route. They do not stop, it's not a house-to-house service, but they will take you, like the bus here would leave campus and they would take you directly into town. They would take you up by the NCF, and that is where you can catch the bus from there also. And again, we will have our Warrens route. And then moving along, under the resident life also, we will have, we have what is called chaplaincies. This is where we have a number of denominations that would speak to you on religion, spirituality, and these are things also that you would sign up for. We also have our clubs and societies, and these are student-run clubs and societies. Yes, our office will guide the clubs or societies, and they have certain requirements that must be met, but they're relatively run by students and the student guild. And then we also have what we call the FYE experience or FYE program, and that is first year experience. All of you who are first year students are eligible to take part in this program. And this program is directly run by the Office of Student Services. You must register for this program just like how you register for a course. And this program is run for the entire semester. You would have, we normally bring in various people to give you workshops, to do various workshops with you. We do a lot of community service, and it's like a melting pot. You get to know all of your other colleagues. So I find that a number of students, every year we have numerous students that take part in the first year experience. And then next we have our disability services. And under this, we normally would assist students with disabilities, with various accommodations that they need. And also we try to make the campus and others, we do awareness and sensitization. Moving on, we have financial assistance and students who may be in need, and given everything was COVID and everything, we have been seeing this more and more. You may need a bit of financial assistance. And again, you can apply for this as a student, and you can know that this is dealt with in the strictest confidence. So we have seen more and more students utilizing this service. And next we have community outreach. Our community outreach services include our Vision of 42 program, where our students normally concentrate on community service. And this is the University of the West Indies community outreach program. So in the past, before COVID, we have had a number of students volunteering around Christmas time in the children's ward at the QEH and at various feeding programs across the island, and also with various churches and organizations like the Red Cross. So again, the Vision and 42 program, that is the Cave Hill Community Outreach Program. And because of COVID, for the last year, this was actually stalled, but we're hoping to come back, as they say, with a bang this upcoming academic year. So we already have a program set up, and we hope that everything will go smoothly. Under our community outreach also, we have the Give Back program. And this is what I will speak to you about this in detail a little bit later. So moving on from community outreach, we have academic support. And we do academic support because, excuse me, we want our students to be able to succeed. So on the academic support or academic support services, we are normally, we bring in a specialized facilitator who will give the students tips on how best to manage their workload. Again, for first-time students, this might be a bit challenging for you. So we want you to know that there's someone there that you can speak to. We have various workshops set up, but you can also book one-on-one consultations, or you will have group sessions. And if you think that you may be struggling or you need a bit of guidance in this area, she will be there to assist you in this. So you can, and I advise you, not to, if you find that you are struggling a bit, don't wait until the end of the semester. This service is offers for the entire semester. So then you can book your one-on-one session so that you know how to prepare yourself. And then finally, we have our career development services. And with this service, we have we have an in-house career counselor, because one of our goals is to prepare you for the world of work. So we normally have activities. Some of you might have heard about our job fair, where this is something that is done every year, every academic year. We invite various organizations, entities from across the island to come in and to meet with the students. They normally, sometimes they would do mock interviews. They will also give you pointers as to what qualities they are looking for from in an employee. And then they will offer you internships. So I find that every year, both students and organizations like to participate in this event. So at this time, however, I will stop here. I would give you the opportunity before I go into the Give Back program for you to ask any questions based on any of our services. But bearing in mind that, again, when you come onto our campus, and we welcome you onto our campus for orientation, you will have all of this information shared with you, again, through our information sessions. So I'll just pause here for a minute. So are there any questions?
Okay. I recognize Dr. Bartlett. Dr. Bartlett, if we can keep it as concise as possible, because
Yes.
we should have wrapped up a long time
Yeah.
ago. But
That's why I'm
go
trying to move
ahead.
quickly.
The give back.
Yes, I'm
Now,
going into the give back now.
right. So, but the question I want to ask, because at school, I have this vicarious responsibility for the Key Club and the Builders Club, which they are putting in service hours before they come. Would that be counted towards the give back? So in other words, you're looking at give back after, but what about giving before?
No, so on that question, I think I would move into the presentation and then you would see why the hours would not be counted. The hours would not be counted before. The hours are not done counted retroactively. The only way that is done is, say, for instance, you would have tried to source your own opportunity and say you started in January working with an organization or entity, and says you started January 1st, but then the entity was only accepted maybe the 20th of January. Then from January 1st to the 20th of January, you can still log those hours once the entity was accepted as an entity. But other than that, they don't give retroactive hours. So if you permit me, Mrs. Weeks Marshall, is there any other questions or?
No, I don't see any others.
Okay, so I will go into the Give Back program and then I will let you again ask if any questions. Okay, so moving on to the Give Back program. And let me tell you now that the Give Back program is an initiative by the government of Barbados. I say that because I know that they have numerous people that believe that it belongs to the University of the West Indies, but that is not the case. This present government, when they had decided back in 2018 to reintroduce the payment of the fees for students, one thing they ask in return is that the students give back to the country in the form of volunteer hours at various entities across the island. So while the university, we are facilitators of the program. Well, we play two roles. We are the facilitator of the program, and we also act as an entity as well. But as facilitators, sometimes we partner with other entities or organizations, and I don't want to say provide volunteers, but sometimes the entity will make a request, and based on their request, then we will try to see how best we can match volunteers with the entity. We also, as facilitator, we also guide the students on the various requirements for the program, and we also assist entities in knowing the various requirements for the program. And Dr. Bartlett, why it's told you that the students will not be able to do to get give back hours for the hours that they are doing now is because how the program is set up. Each student have to give 150 hours if you're a full-time student each academic year. And then if you're a part-time student, each student have to give 100 hours per academic year. And the only time this changes is if you were a student and you're expecting to graduate, you're only here for one semester. Like if we have a student that their final semester is from September, this academic year coming up to December, then if they're a full-time student, that time, those hours will be cut in half because they're only here for one semester. And then if they're a part-time student, those hours will be cut in half also, because again, they're only here for one semester. But for the purpose of the academic year for the Give Back program, for us, our academic year begins the 1st of August each year, and then finishes on the 31st of July the following year. So come the 31st of July this year, which is coming up shortly, that will finish the academic year that would have started last year. So students have the entire academic year to complete these hours. And come the 31st of July, once the 1st of August roll over now again, the idea behind the program is that the counter goes back to 0, and you start fresh again with your 150 hours or your 100 hours. And this is done again. If you're here for 4 years, you do this each year for 4 years. If you're here for 3, you do this each year for 3 years. The students, however, have the option of opting out. And if they opt out of the program, they must know that they must opt out at the beginning of the academic year within the registration period, because the government pay your fees by a certain time. And also, if you decide to opt out, then you are saying that you will pay your own fees. So you will pay your own economic costs, your own tuition fees, everything that the government is paying for you, then you would have to pay those fees for yourself. And I know that they would, based on the timing, I know that a number of questions were asking because of COVID, then if the program is still up and running. Let me answer that now, yes. The program is still very much up and running. For COVID, what happened is that, well, when we still have COVID, but when we were in the heat of it last year before, what would have happened is that there was an understanding with the Ministry of Education, who we work very closely with, and that the students would not be penalized for not being able to meet these hours, because we understood that there were challenges where a number of businesses were closed because of the COVID situation. A number of entities could not have a number of persons within their office. So we would have made an agreement, and this is still ongoing. Once the students show that they want to participate in the program, and this is done by them signing up for the program and everything like that. And again, we will get into this more with the information sessions that we will share with the students. But once they do everything that they're supposed to do and they don't meet the hours, again, they will not be penalized. But the students will find out more how they will be able to do this when they come. Besides opting out, there are a number of exemptions to persons having to do the Give Back program. And these exemptions are based on the fact that either within their course load, they already are doing service hours or community hours. And again, this is based on your program. It is not based on your occupation. It is based on your program. So I would have had a number of nurses ask if they could opt out because they're a nurse. However, if you're a nursing student, you are exempted from the program, not if you're a nurse or if you're a police officer or whatnot. It's based on what program you're doing. And these programs might be, well, they might have additions to this list. We hope by the beginning of the new academic year. And again, everything will be updated on our website, and we will give you more information on that at your information sessions. So how the student will participate in the program. The most important, well, not the most, but the first step to participating in the program is to create an account. I would have had numerous students that when they speak to me, because we do have the one-on-one sessions, I have one-on-one sessions as well. So if students are finding it challenging or having difficulties, they normally reach out. And it's amazing that sometimes some students haven't even created their account. So I must instill in you the first thing to show your interest is to create your account. And again, all the information that you need to create your account, we normally send them by email to the students. It's also found on our website. And again, we will have the information sessions. So after you create your account, you check for your volunteer opportunities. And I remember, I think it was Ms. Mahon that told you about the importance of using your email. We normally, if we have any opportunities at all, the first thing that we do is send them to our student body via their UE email. So you will see in the subject line, volunteer opportunity, give back program, and then you will see all the attachments or anything, all the information there. So you could check for your volunteer opportunities on the Give Back website. The Give Back website also have a whole list of entities where you will participate, you will call them, they will have a list of entities and they have what is required, but then you as a student will contact the entity, and between yourself and the whoever's there at the entity will make arrangements for you to come and do your volunteer opportunity with them. So we have businesses, we have entities such as a number of schools, as you guys know. We have various ministries and departments in government. Again, as I said, the University of the West Indies, we have a number of volunteers at various departments within our campus. We also have our clubs and societies. They also would do some activities that would be able to come with for Give Back hours, but you should know that with the clubs and societies, the opportunity must be approved by the Office of Student Services. So if you come and you join a club and society, and maybe they're doing a beach cleanup or they're doing a homework club, something, whatever they're doing, you can always reach out to our office, or you can ask the person in charge of the club and society if you'll be able to get Give Back hours for that. And then students could also source their own opportunities. And sourcing your own opportunities means that maybe you check the list on the Give Back website, and there's an organization there that you would love to volunteer with, but they're not listed. What you do, you speak to the person at the organization, you tell them about the program. If it's a case where maybe they may need a little bit more information, all the contact information they need is on the Give Back website. And I also invite students, if they want, if they need me to, I can speak to someone at the entity as well if they need a bit more information to guide them in terms of how they'll be able to participate. Once this entity or organization is accepted by the Ministry of Education, then you can log your hours with them. Please note that, now I say once they accepted, for your hours to be counted, each entity that you volunteer with must be registered with the Ministry of Education, right? So if you're not certain, again, you can always contact myself, or you could contact the Ministry of Education, because they're always updating the list. And sometimes the entity may not have been updated as they are on their website. So you could contact us to find out if this is a participating entity, and then you can log your hours with them. And then the final step would be for you to log your hours. When you log your hours, you will go into the same area where you have created your account, and you will log your hours with them. But one thing to be mindful of is that when in logging your hours, you must select the entity that you volunteered with. So although you're a University of the West Indies student, you will not select the University of the West Indies. If you volunteer with the Diabetes Association, you will select the Diabetes Association for that service that you would have done. And I know a number of students also ask if they can volunteer with more than one entity at one time. Yes, you can, but we also want you to take note of your workload. But again, we will give you more of that information, the guidelines and everything, our information sessions, and you have the opportunity to book one-on-one sessions with us as well. Oh, okay, right. So then we would have created a dedicated email also for give back so that our students can reach out to us. So it's giveback@cavehill.uwi.edu. And you can also call our office number, or again, you can go on to our website and you can book a one-on-one session with myself. So thank you very much. And back over to you, Mrs. Weeks Marshall. I would open the floor also to any questions.
Okay, great. So do we have any questions for Ms. Harper and the Give Back program or anything else that she has spoken about this evening? No, I'm hoping everybody's still awake. I'm sure they are.
That's fine. It's a lot of information.
It's
And
been
as I
a
said,
long,
the good thing about it is that you have upcoming information sessions. We have websites that have the information right through.
yes, definitely. So thank you, Ms. Harper. And at this point in time, we've come to the end of our presentation. I want to thank all of these wonderful ladies for being here, for taking time. We definitely went over the allotted time, but I think that it was time that was well spent. I'm hoping that you as students would have gotten a lot of the information from this session and that you will feel a lot more confident going into the University of the West Indies, and a lot more comfortable to know that at any point in time, if you do need any form of assistance, you can always feel free to reach out to any of these ladies, these wonderful ladies that you've seen here, myself, or any of your lecturers or anyone else on campus, because we're here to assist you. We are here, we're all about your success as students of the university, and just making yourself better and also maintaining the reputation of the university as well. So if there are no more questions, I'm seeing a lot of thank yous in the chat. I would like to say thank you to everyone for participating. Dr. Bartlett is here. Dr. Bartlett, for the ladies, the presenters, he's actually the deputy principal of the Christchurch Foundation School. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to him to have the final say this evening. Dr. Bartlett.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, again. I'm wondering why Ms. Marshall is handing this thing back to me. She is doing such a wonderful job. I'm so impressed. Imagine going out to bring all this information at this stage. I don't know what I can add to it. I'll tell you this, Ms. Marshall, Weeks Marshall. Oh, and I read this in a storybook where the bucket was full and the question was asked, what else can be added? And the answer came, only a hole to let out what is in. I can't add even a hole to your bucket. Thank you very much.
And thank you too, Dr. Bartlett. So on that note, we want to thank everyone for coming. We want to wish you all a wonderful evening and an even better weekend. And we're looking forward to seeing you at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill Campus come August 1st or whenever registration is. So thank you very much, Ms. Mahon. Fantastic job. Ms. Atherley, excellent as always. And Ms. Harper, wonderful job. Thank you all very much. And I wish everyone a wonderful evening. If either of you ladies would like to say anything, that is fine. Yes.
So Diana, just saying, looking forward to seeing them in August.
Same here. Welcome all.
Yes, we're looking forward to seeing you, and do reach out if you have any questions. As I said, the easy email to remember is seru@cavehill.uwi.edu. If it's not us that you want, we'll get you to who you want. So we really do look out. I'm an old foundationer myself, so it's particularly special to be here this evening.
Okay, excellent.
Again, everybody.
Thank you. Have a wonderful
evening.
evening. All
Bye-bye.
right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.